And we are live. The four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Apocalypse. I'm not ready for that.
Boss Chicken Boys. Boss Chicken Boys are back.
Haven't bought my can of peas yet. No,
it almost looked like the Book of Revelations. Watching Steve eat those wings was kind of like reading the Book of Revelation.
Say hello.
Based on how much she was choking. Daisy down there? Daisy girl.
She's right here. Come here. Come on. If I pick her up, she might squeal. Come here. I told you.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my.
Steve.
I told you.
Okay. All right. We already have fake news right out of the gate by Zach Pierce. Neo is the GOAT. Chase Arcade coming in first. Justin, what's going on? Ham is one of the horses. Crazy Kev in the house. Yep, still working on the comments from the last stream and probably the stream before that. Splenda, what's going on? Actually, I feel like I saw Splenda at the National, but I wasn't exactly sure if that was him or not, so I didn't go up to him. But I'm pretty sure it was Splenda that I saw at the National. So I wish I had gone up to him.
I did. I filmed him in one of my videos, me and him actually.
Yeah, that's how I know it. That's why I think it was him.
Yeah, we had to track Steve down. It took us like 15 minutes, and we were all in the same section.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve has proven to be a fairly high-maintenance crew member.
He's elusive.
Me, Steve?
He's too busy doing
Steve. You're elusive. You can disappear in like -1 second.
Hey, Steve, I'm just running to the restroom. I'll be right back. Like literally 60 seconds later, and Steve is across the exhibit hall.
We all know that's a lie because according to the internet, it was impossible to go to the restroom in under 60 minutes.
Well, no, it was at like 8 a.m. It was before everybody.
Oh, yeah, it's before the show opened.
Yeah, he was gone. Second he could leave, he was out of there. All right, Jim said 40. You just watched 40 minutes of Phil and Teapot basically ripping the National. Oh, I haven't watched that.
I watched that one.
I haven't seen that one yet. Okay. Complaints were parking, traffic, food. I feel like that just covered just about everything. Complaints were parking, traffic, food, restrooms, the people. There was a card show there, and that sucked. Too many.
The thing about I feel like the thing about all that
people
stuff,
there was young people there.
But I think about all that stuff in that I think it was bad like really one day, like the first or second day, and then
Thursday,
it improved. Friday. I think it improved, and I think the first impression is what everybody remembers.
Well, a lot of people didn't know about the backdoor hack. A lot of people either didn't have access or didn't know about the restrooms in the basement.
Yeah,
a lot of the food truck lines were long, so that's pretty legit. But that being said, the food options were still way better than Chicago.
That's what I mean. Like
there was no poke bowls. I was upset. No sushi.
There were way more food options and not just more
way
options,
more seating options.
More places, more seating. So I don't understand. Was there way more people at this National? I mean, why was there so much congestion in the food court area? When in Chicago, it's it just seems weird that there would be less options, less places to eat.
I think the thing with Chicago is it's easier to leave the venue and go off site to grab lunch.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense too.
Because you can just walk across the street to Gibson's, or you could walk a block to something else. So that's probably the counterbalance.
It was nice that there was seating there. Yeah, that's something in Chicago. There's really no seating unless you're sitting on the ground somewhere out in the lobby.
Yeah,
and traffic got better once didn't the mayor like tell them they couldn't charge for parking anymore because it was backing up the interstate?
They just had to tell them to get it in there quicker, and that was just their route to fix the problem as quick as possible.
So, I mean, by Saturday or Friday, they weren't charging for parking, which means because the parking booth was like a toll booth on the expressway, like a toll plaza. That's why cars were getting backed up. They were getting charged going in, so it was going. And there was 4 to 6 lines at the parking plaza, but only 2 wide coming in. So it was causing a big zipper effect. Yep. So it was like once they lifted the parking, making people pay for parking, people could drive right in. The parking wasn't getting in. Traffic wasn't that bad.
Yeah. That and the off ramp is right there by the IX Center. So there's not a lot of room to deal with a lot of traffic.
And it said, ungraded vintage. I don't know. I mean, there might have been some ungraded vintage, but there was a hell of a lot of graded vintage too. So it just
there was a lot of vintage in
there's a
general.
lot of everything. It was the National, so I mean.
But I would say there's always a lot of ungraded vintage. I mean, the last 4 years there's been a lot of ungraded vintage, so that's nothing new. I mean,
At
a lot
least
of
it gives you an
dealers
option.
grade. A lot of dealers don't grade it, or they've got the combination.
Maybe the pricing on some of the ungraded vintage, because I was looking at some raw vintage, and it was priced, basically what the dealer thought its grade would be. It wasn't like, okay, this is raw, so you're getting it at like, a super cheap discount. It was like, no, this is probably a PSA 4, so we're going to charge you like it's a PSA 4. I saw
I don't like
that. So that's just tough. Yeah, that's tough with raw because it's a big gamble buying raw
it's
vintage.
Not fair is what it is. It's just somebody trying to push a narrative on price. If they think that, then they should just grade it and then put it out. I hate it when I see that, especially vintage. Vintage is so hard to determine a grade. And when you see it raw, you're always wondering, like, why isn't this graded, but these other 400 cards to the right are? Like, it's just, they usually tells me that it's trimmed or does it meet size? So they don't even want to send it in because it's not worth their while. But they should sell it at that price, and they try to always beat somebody up. That's always the end game, make as much money as you can. I get it.
Jim in Florida, the comment with Filmington's big pickup was not numbered Hawk to a girl numbered card. That's because his party that they had, the invitations were actually those cards, and they were numbered, and they gave one out to everybody who showed up, and you didn't know if you were going to get a low number one or a high number one. There was like different parallels, and they handed them out in envelopes randomly. You open your envelope and see because I think mine was numbered out of 20, and it was a Hawk to a girl card, and it said Filmington, Mike O, and Silver Jackify on the front.
Nobody the cow.
So that was their like party invitation card. I think so. That was saying that was his best pickup was probably a joke, or him just saying that because it was his party invitation.
How's it going, Ray? Thanks for the comments. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Mike Ham did a really nice vlog. I've watched some of the vlogs, and I just keep going back to yours, Mike. You had because you had really good variety. You covered a lot of ground.
Well, that, and I'll throw little pieces of us in between, which if you're skipping around, you'll miss things that could literally be 4 seconds. And like we were talking, me and Steve were talking, you could be in different versions of each one of our videos anytime we're live on the floor at any part of a video, and you could see stuff cross over. So you can kind of see different perspectives on something, even if we're standing next to each other.
Yeah, I can say I really enjoyed the layout of this venue. I mean, and I understand not everyone got the VIP or the media pass, but man, that was if I had known, I guess, how that was going to be laid out, and we didn't have a media pass, I would absolutely have gotten the VIP, just knowing how the layout was.
Yeah, the room itself was easy to navigate. Because in Chicago, it seems like it's all different directions. It's like an L and an F, and it protrudes off here and an annex here, and you're like, oh man, it takes a day or two at least to really get comfortable walking the floor. But I did have a hard time once I saw a card. I would try to remember the booth that it was at without writing it down. I know people say write the booth down, number down. I get that, but I would usually remember the general vicinity of where I saw a booth of a card that I was somewhat interested in, and I could never re-find that booth when I would go back.
Even when you weren't there, Steve, Sunday, I went looking for those 2 different cards, and either they had already sold or those people weren't in that area.
Right. But I don't remember the booth by the actual card because
I know
the card could sell, and then of course I'm not going to be able to find it.
Correct.
I try to remember the people working behind it and things like that.
The numbering for the booths, they're supposed to put them up, which most do. The problem is they cover them, or they're in the corner and you can't read it. And it doesn't go like, remember we were looking at one point, and it doesn't go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 846, 857, 893. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's annoying. And the Ludix app, that was the guide for me, because I could easily be like, where do I need to go by typing something in and then finding that table. It made life easy. Somebody gave me feedback to give to Matt, which I gave him right before I left on Sunday, because I got to say goodbye to him before I left. And, they were saying it would be nice if you could highlight a table so you kind of can do a few tables around the entire room.
We were looking for
navigate around.
Remember?
Yeah, or to be able to remember where you saw a card. Yeah.
Well,
So he said
I
they
wanted
are
to go
looking.
there to look at their vintage, and we had the table number, but the way that the table numbers were kind of set up, it was like we were like, okay, it should be here, but it's not. It's here or down over here. So even though you had table numbers, they weren't necessarily in numerical style type order
Mm-hmm.
on the floor.
That interactive map was clutch. I used that quite a few times to try to find certain tables, especially the first couple of days when I hadn't had the lay of the land yet.
Yeah, I went to go back to find out a company's name based on a booth, but they'd already taken the interactive map down, I guess, on Monday. So I wish I would have left it up like for a day or two, just in case you wanted to go back and check a vendor.
I didn't see a lot of this from Eric Young, but I was also not in the lunch area a ton too. I was kind of walking in and out of it. I wasn't there for a long period of time for people setting up to buy and sell kind of at those lunch tables. I know it was happening. I just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't paying it close enough attention. Did you guys know?
I had commented multiple times. It's just the all day trade day downstairs that was in trade night area, and just the availability that people could literally set up. It felt like honestly anywhere in the show. It didn't matter if you had a table or not, and nobody was going to stop you. Which it's a good and bad thing, but
wasn't there a guy though that he actually did like put 3 tables together or something? He put a bunch of like wax and stuff, and then someone did go over and have to tell him like, "Hey, you can't do this." And then he got
people definitely abused the shit out of that. So probably the detriment to like.
Yeah, I didn't think upstairs.
Or next year they're probably going to have to figure something out with that because. Like they provide a trade night, which is like basically, freeloader, go do your thing, set up, sell, whatever in the evenings. But to just set up in the basement for free while people paid like $1,000
$3,000 a table. It was like $3,000 a table.
I'm sure the dealers were not happy about that once they realized that was going on.
It's funny because most of them didn't know it was going on, or because they were running out of cards so fast, they would go downstairs, buy specific cards from regular people, and then take them back upstairs to resell them to the walking people.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell. I obviously saw transactions. There was people buying, of course, but I can't tell too if some tables set up purposely with holes in the showcase. It's kind of like a mind game because I saw that where you would have guys that like it was the same inventory, but it was kind of like moved around. It looked like 7 or 8 slabs have been sold, but it looked like that the whole time or a lot of the time. I
got some information from some of the people I know that set up. They were in the meeting on Saturday morning, and they were telling the vendors, "Listen, you have to stay till 4:30 because they're rating the vendors by a point scale now, moving forward to find out if they should even be at the show because there's some people." Selling crap that nobody buys, and or they don't have enough stuff to fill the booth because one of the people that were there that had been there for like I think she said 30 years was complaining they didn't have enough stuff to fill the booth, but they want to hold their spot and things like that. Just they gotta figure something out. You can't push all these other people out to the point we have a whole nother trade night at a different hotel with actual vendors, and Zion case was even over at that one as well. Just to sublet the people that couldn't have come to the show and set up in the show itself.
Yeah, there were secondary shows. There was a whole full soccer show that was every night, big time soccer cards every single night at a whole different hotel. And it wasn't even like a pop-up thing where they were doing it in the lobby. I mean, it was a planned, scheduled, we're having a show the same night as the National at a certain time, and they booked it with the hotel. So it wasn't even like a pop, like you had to actually get a table there. So there were shows going on after the show as opposed to just pop-up trade nights.
I think my biggest takeaway is kind of what Ham just said. They have got to get away from just because you've had a booth for 30 years, you get another booth. Like one of the things I'm looking forward the most with Fanatics Fest because they have basically an invite only / application dealer list. And their dealer list is insane. Like I recognize probably 3/4 of the dealers like on their vendor list for Fanatics Fest in a couple weeks. Like it's the people that are going to have good stuff versus the Nationals probably half the room, 3/4 of the room probably air quote deserves to be in there. That's not just grandfathered in. And I think you did definitely feel. I heard someone else talk about this. I don't remember if it was in Filmington's video or one of the other ones. I've watched so many. I think you could definitely feel the fact that they cracked down on badges and there weren't like people sharing booth space with other people. I definitely think it hurt the inventory slightly at the show. I think that's why you saw a lot of those empty showcases. I think a lot of dealers were probably planning on, oh, well, I got my buddy flipping Steve setting up with me. He's taking a showcase, so I don't need to worry about like this 6-foot section. And then a month before the show, the National's like, nah, sorry, Steve's not allowed in the booth. So now all of a sudden, maybe they don't have quite enough inventory to fill out that whole table.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they're going to, I can't remember, did Joe and the team structure the Chicago show the way it was set up last year? Or was that the last time that the old managers were setting it up? This was
the first show under the new squad.
Okay. So then we can probably assume that Chicago is going to be laid out a little bit differently.
I think the map's already out, and I think it's pretty similar to what it was last time around.
Okay.
At least like where tables are going to be and stuff, because they already had, I'm pretty sure if you pull up the National website, it's already on there because they have their table lottery at this year's National for next year. So they know what the show floor looks like already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I also feel like a lot of the older booths, like I said, there's a comment down here from Brad that says vintage dealers, as usual, are not simply priced to sell. I'm not super well versed in vintage, but when I look for a card or I know there's a card I want to buy, I'll shop around for it. And there was such a big price range between the lowest price I would find on something and the highest price I would find on something that would be a very similar card, meaning it had the same numerical grade, the same grading company. And that's why, but there could be different eye appeal levels, which I understand, but the difference in price range. You guys know I bought that PSA 2. I haven't shared that card on my channel or talked about it yet, but I bought a PSA 2 vintage card, and I had seen that card going for right around 900, and I had also seen that card in the same grade priced over 2,000. And I understand eye appeal and how it works, and I just felt like that was a really big gap between the lowest one I saw and some of the highest ones that I saw. I don't know if they're trying to get people
same prices on Jim Brown rookies.
Yeah, maybe they're just, Jim Brown prices were crazy. I saw PSA 1s priced like 3s and 4s.
Yeah, because I have those 2 3s, so I kind of know what a 3 goes for. And I saw 3s priced for like quadruple what mine comps for. I don't know, my centering's not great on mine, but still, like you said, Steve, like eye appeal might give you like a 10% bump, not a 310% bump.
I saw a nice SGC 4.5 on a Jim Brown towards the end of the show for $1,200, and that was the most reasonably priced Jim Brown that I saw the entirety of the show across all grades, because I saw PSA 1s and 2s priced at $1,800, which were at booths with older dealers and things, and maybe their stuff is just priced and not repriced, or maybe they really don't want to sell, or maybe they hope someone is going to buy off them without looking at comps, or maybe that's just how they value their cards, which is fair. A dealer can price how they want. I'm not here to bash that. I'm just saying there was big discrepancies between prices across the vintage stuff.
What did you think, Ham? What were you looking for in particular, or not really? You're just kind of checking it out.
I am there for content and to hang out with y'all. It's more of a guy's trip for me, but I'm always looking for something different. But in one of my videos, I said it, like, a lot of these cards come through Florida somehow. I mean, graded card for vintage. I see that all the time too. But like all these big Jordan cards, or, a lot of my video, you see these cards that are either so outrageously priced that I'm just posting it because it's funny and you may never see it again anyway. It may be that rare, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and or something different. I'm usually looking for something different or off the cuff, because I see so many cards, because I actually have to pay attention to an entire case every time I'm at a show, that I feel like I don't see rare stuff truly anymore. I feel like, I don't know, I see Tom Brady autos. Now they're just kind of like, I draw a blank when I see them. Oh, Tom Brady auto, cool. Hey, that's a tough one. I remember trying to pull it, cool. Michael Jordan, LeBron auto, Michael Jordan, Kobe. Like, I've seen them so many times now, like they don't feel rare to me. So it's just like, is it the same card though? I guess I could go back in my videos and look, they're all serial numbered for the most part, but, yeah, nothing really jumped out at me as something special. I was even looking for some wax to rip for, like, junk wax / nicer junk wax. And there wasn't a lot of that around, actually. And if it was really, really bad, and it was overpriced by like triple. So it's always that theme, especially at the national. Hey, we got to price it high because we're gonna have to wheel and deal. I don't think that's true. I think if you're priced right, you can move stuff. I know, Neo, you said you were there on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was there. I didn't see you when I was running around while I was still there on Sunday. It was very relaxing to walk around on Sunday.
Sunday was like the best day ever to go to that show. I mean,
and there was still tons of stuff to buy. People in the $5, $10, $20 bins were making deals left and right. I was like, this is if I would lived in the area, I would just go on Sunday. Really, I would just go to Sunday to buy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, you're going to miss out on stuff because like you're not in there at the beginning of the week, and certain cards are going to sell before you get to them or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you like don't super care about that and you just want to go like walk the show floor, man, Sunday was great. It was
go back to that comment real quick.
25% capacity compared to what it was earlier in the weekend.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, like Mike says, vintage dealers charge a price on what they think it'll grade, and the scary part about that is it could be altered or something, and you don't know it.
Yeah, God knows what happened.
Buying raw vintage could, it may be looking like a PSA 4, and they may be pricing it as a PSA 4, and the reason it looks like a PSA 4 is because it's altered. So it's kind of like, I couldn't touch raw vintage unless they were charging me super low grade prices, because you run the risk of, first of all, not grading out to the grade that they think it's going to be. Very rarely is it going to grade higher, probably never. And you run the risk of it being even getting a numerical grade on it. I mean, if something looks like if a vintage card looks like a PSA 7 and it's not graded, to me, that just seems too good to be true. Yeah. If something looks that good, a dealer's going to have it graded. You know what I mean?
Well, that or somebody else is going to look at it. Ryan from Breakout will be out there with his ruler, sizing that thing up, and he won't buy it because he knows it's altered.
Right.
So.
But if they're going to charge you that price, because they think that's what it's going to grade, and they're really getting a premium on it, then why wouldn't they just pay the price to have it graded?
Yeah. Yeah, Chris K. Teapot knows who I am. I've talked to Teapot multiple times. At KMT, we're just gonna move him down. Dustin, you're slowing down in the chat here.
That's how I roll.
I know you did.
My time.
I'm almost surprised I'll have an auto chat button like every 10 seconds. It just goes to the next one for you.
Well, no, I kind of like to pull them up to see if we want to comment. Anyone wants to comment on a particular, one. So yeah, I'm in no rush. The Hawk to a Girl makes me want to become a monk from Splenda. I purchased a high def CT scanner. Is that right? That's how you know that I didn't actually purchase one. High def. That was there was some talk about that. Yeah,
just take your webcam, turn it to black and white, turn the contrast all the way up and the brightness down. You'll see through everything. Don't worry about it.
All the Stranger Things packs. Yeah, that was one thing I heard Phil say, because Filmington is in the sealed wax game, and he was not happy about the CT scanners.
Well, that really affects single packs of modern cards. I don't know if it'll work on vintage so much because it's reading foils and showing shadows. So I don't know if that would work so well on like a Jordan rookie pack.
Yeah, like actual wax packs.
Yeah. Because if that's the case, just go get them all and just resell them all, and then find out the ones that have the card you want, and then crack and rip.
How many years away are we from that? There's someone with a CT setup at the National where you could walk your box over and have them scan it.
I don't know.
Like we already have Kurt and like Mr. Minty and stuff setting up at shows cleaning cards. Like how far away are we from the CT scanner services off in the corner at the National, and you can just run your boxes through?
This just is a harder push for e-pack and digital is what it is. NFTs coming back because they're like, hey, can't protect you here, but here we can. Yeah. It's a selling point.
The NFT ends up becoming the backdoor favorite just by default, because physical cards just get so screwed up.
Yeah. What was the basketball one that the one guy made all the money on, and then we've never heard from him again?
Flipping Steve?
No. Guy started selling albums after
Vegas Fines.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was the basketball stuff again? Top Shot. Where's that stuff? Should we be buying Top Shot right now?
I mean, it's like with anything. you buy it low and you never know.
You go back and you look like, damn, I should have been buying Top Shot for the last 5 years.
So the question is, I mean, since we're talking about the CT scanners and things like that, and I saw on Instagram where somebody actually put up if this was real and not a troll, somebody put up a service where they were actually offering.
It's real.
It's real. Okay.
I've seen 2 of those services now.
See, I don't buy or sell or anything wax really, unless I grab a thing of retail every now and then. But what's out there is what's out there. But how do the companies, the manufacturers going forward, prevent something like that? Is there a safety device? Is there anything you can put in a pack? So there's nothing you can put in a pack to stop it from happening.
I think they're going to say, well, and I said, look, that's just Michael Rubin's excuse to say, hey, if you don't get it from the Topps website direct to consumer, then sorry. Yeah,
but even still, when it goes to breakers, how does somebody buying into a break trust that?
Maybe what they say is, hey, you got to get off Fanatics Live because it's going directly from us to Fanatics Live.
With the guy leaking this, I'm trying to figure out really what was his angle at the end of the day, because it seemed like he was pointing at Panini directly at knowing what was in the box as if they were doing it and then sending this stuff out. So versus just knowing what's in it based on serial number or sequence. It just seems like, when somebody gets a loaded box, is it serial numbered? Or are they just CT scanning everything, or they have their own little scanner, and they're able to tell what's in it.
Regardless of what he was showing or uncovering or exposing, going forward, it's now been brought to people's attention that it's something that they can do, right? Which means that people are going to try to capitalize on it, whether it's to get packs for themselves or whether it's to charge a service like we see somebody already attempting to do.
Yep. So
then the manufacturers, if they want to protect their consumers, somehow need to come up with a way to defense against it. I mean, yeah, you can say, sure, buy all of your break product from us directly. Then again, you're having to trust that consumer to begin with. You have to trust that consumer now, right? So it just creates another trust issue when we already have lots of scams and trust issues going on in the hobby. This just creates something bigger. I mean, how do you prevent it from happening other than not buying product? And that's not going to happen, right? You speak with your wallet, but who's going to stop buying product enough to where it actually hits them hard enough to where they're like, okay, we really got to do something about this. Because as much as I hate to say it, and as much as the collectors out there are going to hate to hear it, right now, probably the biggest lifeblood of the hobby is breaking. Collecting, and the collectors are always going to be there. The breakers and the flippers and things like that, they are going to come and go. The collectors are always going to be there in the end. I'll say that. But you saw the Breakers Pavilion at the National. Product is being bought and sold the way that it is because of the breakers. Modern product is getting out into the showcases because of the breakers, because these dealers and vendors aren't busting product. They're not, okay, I'm going to break a case of Flawless and I'm going to put the singles out of my showcase.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
In turn, it makes the singles cheaper. The modern singles cheaper because they hit the market fast.
But I mean, that's how inventory is getting out there. And we're talking about people running out of inventory.
That's
inventory,
true.
Modern, ultra modern and modern inventory, the influx of it is coming from breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Repacks are being filled from breaking.
Yep.
People are pumping money into these manufacturers or because of breaking. Whether the breakers are spending the money with the manufacturers, then the consumers are spending money with the breakers. There's just a lot of money being going around through the busting of product, but the busting of product, a majority of it is going through breaking. So, how do you police somebody using a CT scanner?
I don't think you can. The thing is how long has it been going on is really probably the question you would ask. There's always going to be an angle to find something. I mean, whether you're a pack searcher, you're weighing packs, you're feeling up packs.
Yeah, we've come a long way. We've come a long way from 1990 when you would go the cello packs and you're trying to find, you're
shuffling them yet, because you can see through them. Like, stop making see-through packs. That's the first thing we can do. It's super easy. Whatever happened to the actual inserts that used to be the fake inserts? Just a blank card basically in a pack. You only get those like in super high-end product, these things. And then at one point, for the people that used to be able to feel the divot for jersey cards, they would make these that would have divots in the middle, like it would be a cutout in the middle, so it would fake you out. So you'd buy them and be like, oh shit, this is a fake card.
Yeah,
so then you kind of got screwed again.
They used to put the fillers in there.
Yeah, but they had fillers with holes in them internally to fool the people that would be able to feel it in the pack, because it would have a bump or a divot. Same thing with the autos with Bowman. They went away from or tops with the little sticker on the back, because you could literally slide your fingers up the pack and feel like a speed bump, and you would know that's the auto. So you could just pull one pack and move along with your life.
Yeah, I mean,
I think some boxes should randomly have live scorpions. Just like you get hits, sometimes you get like something bad. You know, you never like, you don't know. It's like life. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
You open a pack and it's a glitter bomb.
Yeah.
Crazy Kev, I agree 100%.
That might be a good idea, actually.
Confetti explodes in your face.
Oh, look, John Morant autograph. Wow.
It's got the hot powder in it from Steve's wings.
Okay.
Oh man,
you'll die.
I love when Will. I remember, well, no, was Will saying that you were going to regret it, or was he kind of like, nah, that wasn't very much? The guy at the place.
Well, he was saying that how hot it really, really was. He was like, dude, it's really hot. I don't know if you really want it or not. And I was like, yeah, I want it. And it was hot. I mean, I've eaten stuff that's hotter. So, I mean, once you reach a certain level of heat, it all feels the same, right?
I don't know.
Fire is fire.
I don't play in that game, so I wouldn't tell you.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
Fire is fire. There's a bonfire on the left and a bonfire on the right.
Different types
you put
of
your
fire
hands in
when
both
you're
of
talking
them. They're going to both feel hot.
You like chase it with heart medicine.
I'll stick with the garlic parmesan or the sweet barbecue sauce, whatever the hell it's called.
It's not like I would just go in there and be like, hey, man, give me an order of that. But it's kind of like, you know, the moment they had their hot sauce, I'll probably never be back to that place again. So I want to see what they have to offer, right?
You're never going to come back and visit me?
Well, you live far away from there.
There's one 20 minutes from my house.
Well, I mean, I never said that, but still.
I never seen you post a video about that. We all love food.
One life.
Mitso has a question. In the 5 to 10K range, offering 10% less than the latest eBay comp, a fair price when paying in cash, is 15% too aggressive? I would say that cash is king in the 5 to 10K range, man. You might want to go like 30% off.
I start at 20. I mean, I don't go 5 to 10K, but like that Luke Skywalker that I bought was stickered for 2,200. I think my initial offer was like 15 or 20% off with the hopes of getting 10%.
I would say too, it really, really depends on the card. I mean, depending on a sports card or non-sports, you could be a non-sports card in the 5 to 10K range could come up like very rarely, you know, whereas if you're looking at a Justin Herbert RPA, whatever that runs in the 5 to 10K range, there's a lot of options there.
I mean, there's lots of different factors that weigh into that. First of all, it's definitely going to be the card or the era type card. You're not going to really be able to offer that much lower on the vintage type card and get it. A modern card that has volatility to it, that moves up and down, that can tank based on a player doing something bad or not performing. And then it depends on the dealer on the other side of the table, what they're into that card for.
Yeah.
If it's a $10,000 card and they're into the card for $5,000, they may be willing to sell it for $6,000 and make $1,000. I know when I set up as a dealer, I price to sell. You guys have seen that. Yeah. I don't cap everything out at what the most recent comp is. If I have room to sell it and make money, I sell it. It gives me really high liquidity because I'm making money and the people buying from me also feel like they're getting a deal because they're getting a percentage off. So again, it depends on what the dealer is actually into that card for. And how long maybe it's been sitting in their showcase. Is it stagnant? You know, is it stale inventory? So there's a lot of different things that can weigh into that.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I would say though, in this environment, I mean, cash is king. You know, remember a collectible is only worth what someone's going to pay for it. Even if it's in high demand, it really depends on, and also depends on what the dealer's in for it for, but it also might be a dealer that just needs to move off of that card. So you really never know. I mean, to me, it never hurts to ask for, you know, you be as aggressive as you want.
Yeah.
You say in this environment after we just spent 5 straight days watching people spend obscene amounts of money left and right on the card.
That's hilarious. The thing that's so hilarious about that question though, is people will drop $5,000 on wax or brakes or whatever the hell. but the singles markets has been hurting outside of like, really rare stuff or whatever there's certain cards, of course, that are high, but I mean, for a lot of the singles market, you can get, a lot of stuff has come down. So
a lot down. Like if you go look at what a Zion base prism or a job base prism goes for right now versus what we knew it as, you're just like, what happened? I'm like, this is like a scorecard now. This is crap. And then they play good, and then all goes back up.
Neo, is Fanatics going to roll out their Marvel products? Are they kind of like? Wouldn't that be kind of wild if they have a gigantic announcement or something? I guess it's more of a sports card show, so it wouldn't be a Marvel thing. But
yeah, I don't think we see anything in that till like 2025.
Rob, how do we figure out when a license expires for a company? Like, is there a way to go look at rights?
I don't think so, because that's all private documents.
I just figured it'd have to have some type of a deadline. Somebody has to say something somewhere, like through 2025, through 20 something.
I'm guessing Upper Deck probably runs through Q1 2025, and like we probably see Fanatics put out Marvel product in like April, or at least get the rights, and then it's how quickly can they get product out once they get stuff.
Yeah.
So Eric, this is kind of like what Mascot's trying to do, where they scan in inventory into the Mascot app, and I didn't use it at all for the national. But Mascot was there. I don't know if they did it, but I've watched their guys just basically go up to a table, scan everything. And the assumption, I think, is that you go on their app and you're able to figure out where stuff is, which would be very helpful.
Yeah, I just think the amount of data necessary to find a card, because of how specific cards are now, I think that it's too daunting for people to do it. If the scanning's working properly and it can identify a refractor versus a base and a PSA 10 or something, but I don't think we're there yet. So I think that they still have a long way to go before the algorithm can pick that stuff up easily, because almost all card scanning apps do not work 70% of the time, it feels like.
Michael Stone, what's up? We talked to Michael Stone quite a bit at the show. It was good meeting you in person. All right, so he's
the other problem with the whole like inventory thing is as quick as dealer inventory changes, it seems like it would be hard to keep up with.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I just traded these 5 cards for these 10 cards, and all of a sudden my inventory is instantly out of date.
Yeah, because outside of selling it, it's like an online eBay of what's at the show, which would be great if you can locate something that way. But we can't even locate a dealer booth, so let alone the card at the booth.
Man, we're way behind on comments.
Oh, are we?
You want me to start reading?
Yeah, the one you just answered was like 25 minutes old.
Yeah, you're at 17. Job
Timepiece Esquire, man. I'm sorry about that though. At 9:29.
Hey, Orlando, I don't know how I didn't see you one time at that show, Orlando.
He was trying to avoid you.
Obviously,
accomplished.
He was with Ryan. I didn't see Ryan once either, and he was with Ryan a lot of the times as well.
I didn't see Ryan from Breakout Cards. I didn't see Victor, the rookie card.
I saw Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan was there for like 3 days.
I saw him one early morning.
Victor, rookie card specialist, ran by me. I shook his hand real quick, and he told me, "Hey, man, don't tell anybody, but Star Jordan 101 is the true rookie." And then he just ran off.
No, that's not what he told me, because I really had an actual conversation with him.
I did see him for a second, but yeah.
What's funny is there weren't a lot of Star Jordans at that show at all,
because there's not a lot of them in existence, man.
So one of the things I did notice, like there was not a lot of CJ Strouds. Football for specific guys. Think about all the kabooms that are bought all the time. How many kabooms did you see? Downtown?
They're all in repacks.
They're on repacks.
They're not at the shows. It is a dry bone. I sold my one kaboom, and I got basically 98% for it.
I don't know if it was today, but I saw something. Was it Optic Football that just dropped, and there's like a zillion downtowns flopping out of it?
Yeah,
clearly, was it Optic or Clearly Don Russ?
Steve, you were the one, or was it Clearly Don? Steve,
Optic,
you were the
it's
one.
Optic Football. It's Optic.
Yeah, you guys did the videos on downtown / kabooms not being rare at all anymore, right? Steve, weren't you looking at downtowns?
I thought they were case hits, and it's like, how do you get?
How you doing, Phil Minton?
Like 10 of them out of a case.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That comment was 25 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first run of probably the downtowns and the kabooms are by far your rarest. And obviously going back to basketball, back when there were multiple product across the board, those are by far the rarest. I think those over time will end up being that like Topps finest refractor. at the end of the day, to where it doesn't matter who you have, it's going to be worth $1,000, and then the player will depict how much it goes up from there. But outside of that, it's just it's crazy how everybody's attracted to those two things, and honestly, the majority of them are garbage, and it's the same players every year. So the diversity sucks just to begin with. Like, for instance, I think there's one Buccaneer player that has a downtown or Kaboom or whatever, and it's Rashad White. That's it. So they never did one for Brady. They never did one for Baker. So it's like, are you kidding me?
Hold on. We have to acknowledge Lori. We have a female in the chat, everyone. Lori.
Hey, Lori.
Thank you for showing up. We appreciate it. Not only are you a first timer here, but probably first time for females in general. There's just
Lori, who brought you here, Lori? I would like to know who Lori is here to see. That's a good question.
It was an accident.
It's probably Daisy. Okay.
Oh, you guys are way too
peak pandemic. We had like She Collects Cards and Women of the Hobby and stuff that would pop in a while.
She's not the first.
Oh, I'm not saying she's a first, but it's been a while. It's been a while. All right, Brad Noble.
Your mom watches.
What'd you say?
I said your mom watches.
I don't think my mom probably doesn't tune in all the time. It's too much. She doesn't watch every one, I don't think. Coming out of the National, how are you guys feeling about the hobby? Oof. That's such a broad question.
No,
Mike,
it's not.
You want to go?
Doing great, guys. There's too many people. No venue can hold us. At this point, we need to have half a state host this thing.
So I need to change tomorrow's video title from "The Hobby is Dead" to something else.
The hobby is alive.
Is it the hobby is dead? Question mark.
Neo
Rumor, the hobby is dead.
Neo jumping in. That's such a clickbait title.
I know, Shelly. I shouted you out, Shelly.
We need booth 344 for clickbait, guys.
Yeah. Oh, Shelly. We got Shelly too. All right. We're all looking forward to our return home with Daisy. Yeah. Did the winner have a good show? Cam, I think. Steve, you were saying I think Cam's like a Deca millionaire or something.
Well,
Cam doesn't have a bad show because Cam don't have bad cards.
No, he had better
show.
cards than like half the dealers in there.
Correct.
He was contacted by, well, you know what? I'm not going to give up all his personal
Basically,
stuff.
Mr. Burns won the contest.
Yeah.
Simon 466 cards. What's going on, Simon? It was good seeing you. Yeah, that was fun hanging out.
I will say he did do good selling and buying. He had fun hanging out. Yeah. He had a lot of fun getting all of his free, cool free stuff. And I do know that one of the cards that he got for his personal collection was a soccer card. It was a Maradona Kaboom Gold PSA 9. So that was like a big card that he got. Yeah.
Timepiece Esquire telling us a story Steve has heard many times, I'm sure.
Steve addressed that question 20 minutes ago.
Well, I just said I feel for him. I mean, look, you got to set limits on yourself. You have to set limits, man. Win and loss limits. I know people.
This is why I like breaking, because usually at the end of the day, I still end up with something.
Yeah, but you set limits.
I end up with nothing but an empty pocket.
You set limits on what you're going to win and limits on what you're going to lose.
Bowman Chrome first. Autos.
Look, man, we're talking about real life problems here. Because if you go in a casino and you win and you think you're going to keep winning, you're going to lose it back. Like that's just what happens. The house will run you down. You set limits on yourself. If I win this much, I'm done. It's just as important as saying if I lose this much, I'm done. They're the same. They're the same concept and just as important as each other.
Jay asks a philosophical question. What is the estimate on a percentage basis of the number of cards that went home with the person company that brought them? 99% of cards came and left with the original owner. That's
I'd say 75
with the end of the show.
There's a lot of cards changing hands for sure.
Yeah, constantly.
Right. Trade night alone, there's a billion cards trading.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of video of actual trade night because obviously everybody's trying to trade. But I mean, that was a casino for trading. Realistically, I mean, it was a lot of people every day, all day long during the show, just wheeling and dealing. Stuff was moving left and right nonstop.
I didn't make a single trade night transaction.
That's where I sold almost all my cards, other than the ones I sold back up to Brian.
Not a purchase, not a sale, not a trade.
Yeah.
And usually I'm very active at trade nights. Usually,
Yeah,
I
you
sold
are.
a ton of cards the first trade night, and then sold the rest of my stuff to a repacker the next day that I wanted to sell. Everything that I wanted to sell, I pretty much sold. I think I sold almost $4,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah, well,
Then immediately spent it all.
I had a lot of really good inventory that I was like, I'm going to take for the national, for the trade nights. And then I was able to sell that stuff on Instagram and to repackers for really good money. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll just take cash to the national instead. So I didn't have a lot to put out on the tables that at least would attract the type of demographic, a majority of the demographic that you see at the trade nights. And for me, and this isn't me being a downer, I just wasn't feeling the trade nights. I really didn't even have interest in going to the trade nights. Like I liked the show
for 48 hours.
I loved the show. I liked being on the show floor. I had fun with everybody that I met. I had fun doing the content that I was doing. But when the show ended, after being there for so long, I was ready to go chill and like enjoy some stuff in the city and see the city, not just be cooped up in a room all day and then cooped up in a basement all night and then back to an Airbnb to do it all again the next day. Like I was like, I want to go out and have a drink and
we're
check
tired.
out things, you know.
Saturday night, we're all tired, and Steve's like, we'll stay in. I'm literally like asleep on my bed. Like I've got my laptop, I'm falling asleep with it on my chest. And then Steve's like, I think I just got a second wind.
Like, that was Friday night.
Oh, was it Friday?
That was Friday
night. Yeah.
Friday night.
But man, it was like 9:30 and I'm like laying in the bed in the Airbnb and I'm like, is this really what I want to do the rest of the night? Just lay in this bed and try to fall asleep? Or I know they're having a good time downtown and I know they're having a good time over there at Filmington's party and we've been to that 3 years in a row. I'm like, man, I'm just going to get up and go. But was it worth it? We were glad that we went.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
And then we came home and watched Beavis and Butthead.
At 1:30.
We got a pizza.
And then
we got a 1 a.m. pizza.
Yeah, that pizza, it was funny too, because I'm like, how are we going to get food at 2 a.m. or whatever? And that pizza actually was really good.
The pizza was good.
Pizza was good.
All right. Let me keep rolling down the comments. I'm only 14 minutes behind. Serious Drama says, at the National, Neo looked so uncomfortable whenever the camera was pointed his direction. One would think he'd be comfortable on camera by now.
I think it was my B-roll. My B-roll might have had everybody nervous.
Why was it? Well, we couldn't. Yeah, that's the other part. Is we couldn't tell when the cameras were rolling.
Yeah, like we were. Yeah, correct.
Trust me, guys.
I could have been picking up my nose for half of the B-roll.
I have footage that y'all haven't seen yet that I was recording when y'all didn't know.
I just was recording in the car, just randomly recording, and if something cool came out of it, then I would edit it into a video.
Yeah, correct.
Steve is like the Jaws of B-roll. You're just minding your own business on a surfboard.
Yeah, but I'm not going to put anything in there. Like there wasn't anything that was even in there that I was like, man, this can't go on camera.
That's
like
Z-roll.
I even left when I was trying to give away the one Zion pouch, and the kid's mom was like, no, I don't want him to be on YouTube. And I was like, I completely understand. That's why I asked. And then I walked away, and the kid was like, not happy with his mom.
Yeah, like, I'm giving something away.
I'm still going to give him the Zion bag, but I want him to have it, even though his mom. So me and Ham were shooting that part, and all that happened right there in that video, where I was on camera saying, "Okay, guys, this is the situation."
I don't know why she didn't want to be on.
I was like, I'm still going to give it to him anyway. And then all of a sudden he comes, and the mom was like, "It's okay," like the whole thing about it. And then I ask him what his name is, and I cuss. I'm like, "Oh, that's a cool last name." And then I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to cuss. I'm sorry.
Look at Steve going all
but I didn't edit none of that. I didn't edit any of that stuff out.
Yeah, I appreciate you didn't, because I was hoping you didn't. We want to see everybody raw and uncut.
My last videos I had a lot of flubs when I was trying to talk, and I just left a lot of them in.
Neo's just constantly watching sports in the other room.
No, the Cavs aren't on right now. I got nothing good going on.
Yeah, it's kind of a lame-o time for sports until we get football next week, baby. Let's go.
Is that the Hall of Fame game?
Yeah. The Saints start their Super Bowl.
Speaking of football, are we going to be able to do this Content Creators Fantasy Football League?
Yeah, you run it, not me.
Yeah, I'm trying to run it, but I need to set up a draft time. We need to get
yes. Well, did you say
going to Europe during peak draft?
Okay,
season.
so I put it in the chat on Instagram.
It's not on Labor Day weekend.
Okay, well, here's the thing. On the 19th of August, I leave for Europe until the end of the month.
Oh, well,
That's a you
that's
problem.
on you, man. You're killing us.
So August
Auto
19th
draft.
to like
You know you
September
can't win an
1st.
auto draft.
Why
I'll be
don't we-
home on like the 31st, which means we could have drafted the 31st or the
Just
1st.
draft the Wednesday before the season starts.
Yeah. Let's
Draft
do
during
that.
That's
week
the
last
fifth.
time.
That's the 4th. I have a big casino fantasy football one. That's my biggest money
This
league.
Once
keeps
again,
on
this is a you
sounding
problem.
like it keeps on sounding like.
I mean, I can draft that one in person, and I just won't be live streaming with you guys. to
what
draft
about
the other one. I
Tuesday?
don't
What
know.
about Tuesday the 3rd?
On
What
two
about Tuesday the
devices?
3rd?
Tuesday the 3rd will probably work.
That might be our only option.
Pencil it in.
Yeah, let's
I don't know
pencil
what I'm
in
doing
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I just
3rd.
know that entire week. I get back from Europe, I think, on the 30th, and then I have drafts every day until the season starts.
Once again, this is a you problem.
Oh no, I'm going to draft my teams, and I'm going to make a league with
Steve's
people
gonna
who can
draft
draft.
all of our
League or
You
league?
might be drafting
There's
all
going
of
to be a
our
league, so there's no problem about it. It's just a matter of who is and who's not going to be able to make it during the draft.
Should you like auction off a spot to a viewer and then use all that for the national giveaway?
Lori and Shelly, 2 females. Sorry, Shelly.
Is that a good idea or is that a bad idea?
I don't know.
We all love Shelly. Shelly's the best.
She's an OG
Shelly,
too.
why were you not at the national?
Yeah.
We would have loved to have you at the
You
national.
gotta get
You're
some
always
fresh
cool
blood.
to
in the
hang
league.
out with. You're easygoing. We all love you.
3 monitors. You have surveillance all over the place. Neo, the serial killer,
Just around his room in his house.
He's looking at all the rooms where all the people are kidnapped. They're all in cages around the house.
So
I gotta make sure no one escapes.
I know we're going to have to replace a couple people in the league. So we have us 5, right? If
Oh,
right
yeah,
now,
therapist doesn't exist anymore.
y'all
so
said that
you
we have
won
5
there.
people in the league.
I don't know. Maybe he
Ziggy-
comes back. Maybe that's a comeback trail.
Ziggy,
Oh, no,
Ziggy,
he's gonna- yeah, Brad will
Is
come
Dustin
back.
gonna be in the
before
league
that
if
guy.
Ziggy's in the league again? Or
Ziggy
is those
responded
gonna be
yes.
separated?
Yeah, Ziggy will come back. He loves to just be in the cloud.
Ziggy responded yes. I would think that Jeff would want to
Dustin, are
be in
you
it
a
because
yes
he's the
or Ziggy's
defending
a yes?
champ, right?
Jeff has to defend himself. He has no
As
choice.
the defending
but to do it.
champ. I haven't
Yeah.
heard from Chris Soule yet. Dakota, I'm not in any
He
contact.
doesn't
with
exist
Dakota
anymore
so-
either. Dakota's not on the internet anymore.
Is he
Yeah,
on
Dakota-
Discord still?
No, not really.
He's
I
like
mean,
the
see him
line-
on the Discord chat.
He checks it once a week during certain hours of the day.
Yeah. Well,
he's in
on
charge
a
of it. He
whole-
has no
he's on a
choice.
whole vision quest.
Right.
Maybe we're gonna drag his ass back in.
So I just need to get because we're gonna need to replace therapist and probably Dakota at least. That's 2. Oh, Jay already said he was gonna be in 2. So we got Ziggy and Jay who's off camera, and then us 5. So that's 7. I'm sure Jeff is going to be 8. And then we have 2 blank spots, and then we had sports card lessons, which was Ken, and we had Matrix sports cards. So
we got Jay.
I counted Jay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
But it's what, $125 buy-in this year?
if you put an
What is that total?
APB out on open spots, especially with anybody within the hobby, for
That's
the most part,
that'll generate
They'll come
$1,500 right there. That'll generate $1,500 right there.
If you already
Probably take
booked it-
200
if
to
you already
300
booked
of
it
that for the
Chicago,
prize.
you already booked.
I looked at rooms. I have looked at rooms. Now
A lot of them aren't open yet.
I got rooms. I mean, I got open rooms for the Hyatt Regency, which is right there at the Donald Stevens Convention Center or whatever. So I looked at prices, and I do have like the promotional code that I talked to you guys about, but
Mhm.
it doesn't make it super cheap because they're super smart to the fact that that's when the Nationals going on. So a room with 2 double beds right now for that week, it is like $335 a night.
Damn.
Sheesh.
But with the code that I have, it's like 227.
Oh well.
All right.
So that's still not that bad. But before I actually go ahead and pull the trigger, because even though I have a discount code, there's still maybe something cheaper in the area.
Is it 3 nights that you do this for?
Well, is it one of the
I
hotels?
did the
across
giveaway
the
for
street?
3 nights. Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of the hotels across the street. Is it one of those like?
Where's
three-
the Hyatt Regency
The
at?
hotel, it's attached to it's right there. It's
Right,
So you
Regency.
basically walk out an
Convention
elevator
Center.
and you can walk into the convention center.
Yes.
Oh, so it's attached to the. It's okay.
Kind of like it was in Atlanta for us.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that, Steve.
So,
Book them all.
so that's $1,500 for the room, which means, well, I take like $200 or $300 to buy the trophy for the winner, which this year actually put me in the hole a little bit when I booked the accommodations, because this year we did it $100. We were talking about this in the car. the league, this fantasy football league, put up $1,200 counting all of us, including myself. And then I put out like $250, $300 for the trophy. And then the room for 3 nights was more than what was left over. So I had to fund that out of my pocket.
We need a championship belt this year, WWE style.
Who's going to deliver that?
You.
Bullshit.
Hey, at the National,
I'll make a championship belt when I win.
What was the coolest thing y'all saw at the National?
The coolest thing I saw at the
Captain
National?
America sign
You said,
show.
what was the one thing that was like just the coolest thing you saw? It's probably going to be at one of the auction houses.
Yeah,
What was
the
coolest thing
the
you
cap
saw?
sign shield by a mile.
I'm torn between, how do you say, Thor's hammer?
I saw that was right above it.
Yep, that was above it. That had the Wolverine claws. I don't know, that Nature Boy robe that with the lion on it.
I
I
Still
missed all that
signed by,
stuff.
like,
I saw the
everybody.
flare robe, but I
I
mean,
just
I
want
missed
to
all
wear that
stuff
at night and
around
just
there
walk
this
around
year.
the house naked, to be honest with you. Just walk around with that thing on.
Come on, Ham. That's a lot. The coolest thing you saw at the show was whatever was in booth 33, whatever.
Oh,
Teresa's a very nice girl. She's very outgoing. She knows I'm not attracted to her. So
it's all platonic. It's just platonic. We're just friends.
the first thing I said is like, hey, because I talked to her off camera too, more than I did on camera. I'm like, listen, I'm married, not trying to get with you. None of that.
You
shit.
should have heard
No,
the
I know.
names.
We saw you get we saw you get dragged out by police. We know you.
Hey, listen, she's already liked one of my Instagram posts.
Yeah.
We're getting closer
He
and
put
closer
he put a
as we
picture of her
move
in his
forward.
thumbnail. I was like, Ham, you even put that picture in your
I
thumbnail.
know
You
Steve
ain't
was
nothing
like
but-
trying to
I
shame
said-
me into
I
like
said, you're
doubling
nothing
up
but a
her thumbnail.
clickbait hooker.
Is that
So
your
you're
best
nothing but
viewed
a
national
you
vlog? That
clickbait
one?
hooker, and he
I
was
put
like,
her Instagram in there. She said she wanted her Instagram out there, so I put it out there for her.
oh man.
All right.
My
Actually,
wife's looking at me funny.
on this note, was football not a thing? Notice NFL is flat. Did you guys know? So, like the last couple of years, it's been NFL quarterback crazy, and everyone's buying, selling, trading. You know, all the NFL quarterback stuff. Did you guys notice that as much this year? Because I didn't really notice it. Not that I was
wasn't at the
watching
show.
every
No,
transaction.
it wasn't at the
It
show.
seemed like Bryant had a mix of QBs. He had Brock Purdy, he had Jordan Love, he had a little bit of everything, but there wasn't one QB. I saw a lot of Justin Herbert stuff, but I didn't see people like going nuts over it.
It's all in the repacks. That's what's in all
correct.
the
It's either in
repacks.
repacks or people are holding it. I saw a couple nice Mahomes optic autos, a couple silver prisms, usually that had the dimple or a dent in it. But outside of that, the main cards that even I see locally here in Tampa, those big cards were not available. They were not out. They were buying football. They were selling some of the football, but key cards, they weren't moving. You didn't see gold kabooms everywhere, numbered 10, because they're holding them. Because this is the time to buy football, not to sell football. Sell football is in training camp when everybody's being hyped up. So you have, that good week or two before the real pump for football really starts to begin.
Hall of Fame
The
is
pump
tomorrow.
on football. The pump on football is going on right now, though. It's
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
better. It's probably a better time to buy NBA if you'd like to play the markets. To be honest,
I mean, I put that Stroud silver out, and like every person that walked by at trade night was asking me about it.
yeah, that was the only card out of my stuff. I only put cards out one night, and then when the people asked about
Lame-o
those,
time.
Well-
I did say lame-o time for sports, and we do have the Olympics going on. That's once every 4 years. But you know what I meant, Chris. You know what I meant. I haven't. Sadly, I haven't tuned into any of the Olympic stuff yet.
Even the majority of the cards I sold were all football.
Baller
So-
MJ45 said you skipped this question. It's just hard to see them all there, Baller. We don't intentionally skip anybody.
Where is it? What time is it?
Dustin will get to it next week.
Yeah, put it on the. Oh, I need
Is
to.
it 948 one?
9:48. I'm past there. Past 9:48. Hold on.
Yeah, but you may have missed it. He's asking about. Is that the one where he's
this
asking
one?
about Roth and Gamble?
Okay, and others really flip graded cards at shows and make good money doing it. I see them spending a lot. Perplexed. So I think that Roth is better than this than Gamble. And actually, guys, I just want to announce this here. This is big news. But the third channel, I'm going to call it Dustin Gamble, and it's just going
I
to.
thought it was Michael Hamble.
Michael Hamble, and Dustin Gamble. I think Roth is actually better at the flip game than Gamble. I could be wrong. Like, I don't have their books or anything. Like, I have no idea. I think Gamble is more of a content guy, and Roth is a card flipper that also is good at content. So yeah, but still, I think a lot of guys are buying cards for $3,000 and selling them for 3,300 or whatever. I think there's
or 3,200 or
here's some of the-
3,100.
Yeah.
Some of the inside stuff here. Well, Roth sets up at shows and sells directly, almost as if he's like a dealer. So yes, Roth does sell cards. Now, rather what his margins are, I don't know. I can't tell you if he's taking big wins, big losses, small wins, probably a little bit of everything. But I do know that he sells cards. Another thing, a lot of, Roth has people that specifically like will buy cards through him, almost as if he's like middlemaning. So a lot of times when he goes to get a card, it's sold before he gets it. Like he knows he has somebody on the hook for that card and he needs to obtain it and sell it. And he leaves himself some room in the middle. So,
or he's bird dogging and then getting a finder's fee.
Yeah, he's a broker.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, so it's not like he's 100% like some of the crazy cards you're seeing him buying. It's not like he's 100% like funding those out.
Yeah.
Funding those out and, oh my God, now he's on the hook for him or he's going to take big losses. A lot of times he knows that he has a buyer, but that's because he has created relationships. People have learned to trust him and people know that he can find cards and probably get them cheaper than they can because he's willing to go out into the trenches and wheel and deal.
Yeah.
So that's, kind of how he's established himself more as like a middleman, although he does buy inventory and sell himself and buy raw and grade, which creates margins and sets up and sells. So he does a little bit of everything.
There are high-end buyers too that are happy to pay a finder's fee. For a lot of these guys that are going to shows, they're looking for specific cards and they're happy to pay these guys if they can find it.
Yeah, these $30,000 to gold tin kabooms and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not their money. It's not their money. They're producing a show. It's entertainment. You got to remember that too. Some of it's real, some of it's not. I've sat there. We've all watched it too. We've seen people videotape a deal to make it more enticing for the viewer. It's a show, guys.
I saw that in Atlanta where I saw
how it is.
Yeah, a deal go down between two people who are fairly big names. One of them is a YouTuber, and the other one's a pretty big name in the hobby. And I saw them make a deal for a card, and it was completely off camera. And they set it all up the way they wanted it to look and go down, and then they reenacted it on camera. Yeah, I don't know if it's actually a real deal or not.
That's the other thing.
But I saw that, and I was just like, well, because I said to you, Ham, at that you were there. And I was like, man, I didn't know that this went on like this. I must just be gullible or something, which maybe I am. I probably am. But to see that, I was like, why wouldn't they just film the actual organic deal going on? As opposed to, like, they even set it up to the point to where they put the card in the stack and had the guy riffling through and finding it. Like, they went all the way back to that. They didn't just go to, oh, this is card, we're going to make a deal for it. Like, they set up the whole, like, thing.
Yeah, well, Dustin went out on Dustin did a little bit different when he basically kind of attacked Mojo with the cringe and how much cringe we see.
Attack. It was an attack.
Claws were out, Dustin. That was not a normal Dustin moment.
That's baby stuff.
Like you went Wolverine claws on him. But again, from what we see on the backside at all these shows, I see a lot of these people in Tampa. They get literally paid to be brought in to set up at shows to attract other people from their viewership to come in all the time. And I see everything on the backside of the camera. I listen to everything that they do. It's a show. Some of these guys are not what they seem. Some of them have those instances, but for the most part, they're producing a show. They're selling themselves. They're selling a business. And this is what it is. But unfortunately, a lot of the hobby believes that everything they see is true on camera. Everybody on this screen is real. What you get is real out of these people. Everybody wants to assume specific things out of other people on here because they're just making it up like other people do. But we see all this other crap and everybody else go kiss everybody else's ass. And then we just see how fake sometimes they are. And it's just kind of disappointing from a different perspective.
To answer Dean's question, so the four of us have been to the last 4 nationals post.
I skipped one. Yeah.
Ham missed Atlantic City
because Spooks won. I wasn't gonna go because me and him were gonna fight. No, we weren't.
But yeah, I met Steve at the Dallas Card Show 2021 in May, and then because I went to that one because we didn't know if we were gonna actually have a national. And
that
then
was
we
the first big show coming out of
we,
the
and I'm pretty
pandemic.
sure Neo. I'm pretty sure I met you at that national, at the first national, or I don't remember.
Yeah,
That's where that's the
Chicago
first time I
National.
met any of y'all.
And that was the first time I met Ham too,
Yeah.
in person.
Yeah, that was a thing because Neo was like, we should do a trivia question. Where was the first time all of us met each other? And I was like, I can't do this.
You got it
trivia
wrong.
question. I don't even know the answer.
Who's
Yeah.
the missing amigo? It's Brad.
Brad, the comeback card investor. Oh wait, do we have the card? Hold on.
Here, I got it for you too.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, here
Serious drama. I saw Sasha T set up at the National at a table with lots of
I
high-end cards.
stopped
Teams International.
I stopped
Expensive
Sasha
cards in his
T-
showcases.
I
Sorry.
stopped him from trying to go into a restaurant at the airport that was no longer serving food because the card show actually effed up the airport food as well as every other food. They were an hour and a half behind, so they stopped taking orders. And then 2 pizza ovens broke and Shake Shack was backed up for half an hour simply because of all the card people. Because his group came in. I'm like, Sasha, come here, buddy. You don't go in there. There's no food.
Let's see.
Yeah, we answered.
It's just still very active in cards. He's just under the radar on it now.
Yeah, he's just not putting his content out there. It's smart. At the end of the day, for what he does, it's smart. He's dealing with high end, a lot of money, moving stuff around. You become a target at some point.
Neo, you going up to Canton for the game?
I'll go to the Hall of Fame show. I'm not going to the game. There's a 2-day show this weekend for the that's always on for Hall of Fame weekend.
I buy Brady over the new guys. Kevin, would you guys rather buy Manning and Brady or any of the newer modern guys? I guess
I was going to be
flipping. If you're flipping cards, then I guess maybe you're buying some of the
flipping is new guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought lots of Anthony Richardsons and Strouds and stuff and graded them, flipped them.
Yeah. New guys have the most up and down, so you have your best opportunity there to move and make some money. But the Brady, what is he doing? At this point, he can only hurt himself to go down in value. Honestly, I know he's going to do well when he gets, on the NFL Network or whatever, Fox or whoever he's with, commentating. It's going to be very interesting because he's very loose with the tongue. Like, he has no problem dropping F-bombs realistically. So I'm really going to be curious at how controlled he is and if they really let him run. Because if you look at Tony Romo, they've kind of reeled Tony Romo back from when he first stepped in and he was brutally honest with stuff and we all loved it. They've kind of reeled him back in a little bit. So I'm curious of what they'll allow Brady to get away with. And it might be everything. Who knows? I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to watch for sure.
Let's see. Oh, we're catching up. Hey, guys, get some comments in there so that Dustin falls back behind again.
So the only, I guess, which creators are spending big money? I know it makes sense that Jeff Wilson and Card Collector 2 are spending big money because they own stores. And also Jeff he'll spend money on big cards. But I don't know if anybody, I know Rother's buying cards, but he's flipping cards. Who else is buying big cards? I guess I just haven't really seen that.
That's
most of
content
these
creators.
guys that are buying
I'm also
have-
not watching. I'm also not watching a lot of it either. So that's the other problem, I guess.
Yeah, there's actually not a lot more. I mean, we brought up Mojo. He'll have that stuff in there, but we all can take that with a grain of salt.
I spent this much money thumbnails. I scroll right by these things.
I don't watch any of it. I don't watch any of them.
Yeah, I don't watch it. Yeah, I mean, I still watch Jeff's stuff and Teapot, and I like spitballing cards and stuff like that. I watch all of y'all's stuff, but it's just like to the point now. A lot of the content has either become stale. There's nothing new, or they're trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's not working. Because what else can you keep talking about other than some type of change, drama, or fanatics buying somebody out and ruining the hobby we all love?
The hobby we all love. I'm at the end here, guys. I'm at the end of the chat.
I still see them coming in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Tommy Toenails wants some attention.
Dustin is scared to post your comments. Is your wife safe around Ham? Yeah.
Vintage Card Collector asks how much Cards HQ spent. Over 500K. They spent 500K a day probably.
Oh, they always had a long line.
Dude, they actually shut down. I went because I had some cards and I was like, I'll go see what they'll give me for them. And the line was kind of short. And I'm like, I wonder why there's only like 4 people in line. And it was because they basically they were like, man, our guys are exhausted. Like, I've got to give them like, we got to shut it down for the last couple hours of the show because they had been there, whatever, for 8 or 9 hours. So the last few hours of the show, they were like, hey, let's just cut. We got to cut it. So
that's a good question by Dean Travis. It might be Neo, except Neo made money to spend money, so or sold to
I
buy.
spent about $4,000, but I sold about $3,800 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
So
everything I bought was basically the wild card stuff. To be honest with you,
I probably spent close to like $2,500, but I didn't.
I spent more money on cards when I got
anything.
home on Monday than I did at the entire show.
I spent about $4,500 probably, and I sold probably about $3,500. So I went like $1,000 out of pocket.
Yeah, I probably spent like $2,500, and that's on cards. That's all on cards that I spent $200 plus on. That's not counting anything that was under that threshold.
I'm trying to figure out. So this is that new wild card product. How quick did they need to print these? Because this is from the actual shooting, from the assassination. He's got blood on his face. How did they get this that fast? We talk about being able to print cards. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Upper Deck's like 2 years. Yeah, Upper Deck's like 2 years late or whatever, and these guys can pump out cards.
Well, it was weird when I was at the wild card booth, and they kept wanting people to open the product there to the point they'd give you extra giveaway packs. And I was like, why? He goes, we haven't seen the product yet. You're opening this the first time we're getting to see it as well. So I was like, okay. And that made more sense now when I saw that being printed, because I'm like, they literally just printed this and got it to the show in time to get out on the show. Because that was a show exclusive. It's not even available on their website.
I made a large purchase tonight, and it's related to Neo, and it'll be in a video tomorrow. He doesn't know anything about it. So that's a little sneak peek for tomorrow's video.
Yeah, and I see Alex's next comment. I didn't even put out my last. National video / total complete recap with pickups and my thoughts and things like that. I knew we'd do this live stream tonight, and I was just kind of like, I didn't want to put it out when I got home because I was burned out, and I was like, we have a live stream on Wednesday. If I put that video out by Thursday, it's kind of old news, right? People have beat the national to death, so it's kind of like I'll just integrate some of my national pickups into just regular daily videos with everything going on like I do everything else. But the one card that I didn't show on YouTube, it is on Instagram. I always put myself on Instagram because it's super easy. So if you don't follow me, flipping_Steve, and you'll see my cards before I even put it up. But this wasn't even a blip on my radar going in.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about in a video where I bought something. I didn't know if it was impulsive or whatever, but every time I saw one of these cards in a showcase, the card like grew on me. Like whether it was, don't be putting anything weird in the comments, or the card grew on you. But just the picture, like every time I looked at that, I was like, man, that's such a card with character. I like the photo. I like that it's got the action stance next to it. And I'm just like, and then it got to the point where I was like, okay, that's the card I'm leaving with. And it was not even a thought going into the national. I know I wanted a vintage card. I knew I wanted the Jimmy Fox, which I got. And then once I got that, it was like, I got some stuff to flip. I picked up a wrestling card, the Liv Morgan rookie auto.
I got some Hawk Tua from Stillington.
Oh, I got that custom card. Let me go grab that.
Yeah, what was your number
custom
2?
Cards too.
Mine was to 20. Yeah, I gave Steve a bunch of customs. I gave obviously Neo and Dustin theirs. Steve, before I was trying to leave, I was trying to get you to autograph yours, but I'm hopefully going to see you again here in a month or so. So I'll get you to sign one. I'm going to have you sign one of the ones that's like your downtown that I created. I had just the cover piece that I was going to have you sign, and then I got to get Rob to sign his as well. Rob's can't be in blue ink or black because of the coloring on the card.
Oh yeah.
So with the hollow, where Dustin signed his, you can see Dustin signed his there across the chest. And then I have one also that I had Jeremy Lee sign that I did of him as well.
Yeah, those are cool, Ham.
They're fun. I enjoy creating things.
But yeah.
I'm trying to find this Hawk Tua card.
Bless you.
Somewhere.
You already lost your Hawk Tua?
It's in the bathroom.
I can't find it.
It's in between the home
It's in
and
the
the home
bathroom.
and decor magazine.
So yeah, it's in the Family Circle magazine.
Yeah, Steve, this card right here with you and Daisy. This is basically the cover, a blank one on transparency that
Oh,
I have to add. That I would have to add to whatever foil backing in a card I would choose.
No, Brad, I didn't get a Ripken. Brad was at the Ocean City show, so I went to a local show. You guys saw the video. I think it was the same video that I washed the Aaron Rodgers slab in. But I went to an Ocean City show, which is only an hour away. I mean, I go to Ocean City all the time, so if there would be a show there, it was awesome. I can't wait for there to be another one. I was a little out of the show game because it had been a long time since I'd been to a show. But it was cool because I got to meet Brad, and then I met he was in the chat earlier. So he's still
Did
here.
we lose Dustin?
He probably fall asleep off
Somebody
screen.
stole it.
He's still looking for Hawk Tua.
Sounds like he's in the trash can.
Digging through the trash.
Yeah, I found there was baseball card wrappers in the trash can at the Airbnb. I'm like, is somebody taking a dump and
That was the closest trash can.
throwing wrappers? Somebody taking a dump and opening cards at the same time? That's gross, man.
Has anybody done that video yet?
You need some Kurt's card care after that trip.
You can wipe with all the bad cards. What would be the card you would need on that? What's the cheapest card you can get that's flexible?
Okay. I don't know where it
Find
went.
it?
Find it.
Man.
Maybe I gave it to my son. He's like, "What is this?" All
I
right.
went and saw
now you're
X-Men
behind on
Wolverine
that
last night.
Yeah. Now
I
I'm
mean, Deadpool and Wolverine. Did you guys all see? I know Neo, you saw it. Did you guys go see it? Are you going to go see it?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna try to see it this weekend.
I haven't seen it.
I saw it last night.
How'd you like it?
It was good. I thought there was a little too much. I mean, I know Deadpool's character. It was a little too much comedy joke stuff in there. Like some of it was good.
Too much
but then
sidebar stuff.
It got to be a little too much.
Yeah.
Anybody going to Burbank? I'm not going to make it to Burbank.
I'm not.
No, Fanatics Fest for me instead of Burbank.
Hell in the Cell. It's funny. I thought it was fairly tame, to be honest. I didn't think it was much of anything.
He's talking about the Ripken card I was looking at, and right when I was about to start wheeling and dealing for it, Michael Ham called me. I was like, "It's urgent, man. Call me back." So I stepped away. I called Ham, and Ham was like, "Oh, well, I was just seeing what was up." I'm like, "I thought it was urgent." And then I went back, and the card was gone.
Someone asked earlier, and I forget where it was at. Was there something that you either saw or missed out on at the show that like is stuck in your head now?
Yeah.
Like, damn, I wish I would have got that, or damn, I missed that, or
Steve had a
that
few
card I
cards
didn't really
he
think of. But now that I've
rethinking
seen it,
that.
it's kind of like in an eBay safe search or whatever.
Steve always gets to the end of the show and then is like, "Damn, I'm running out of time."
Yeah. But okay, well, there wasn't one I really missed out on, but I had seen a raw copy of this Liv Morgan, and then I couldn't relocate it. And it all depends on what they had it priced at. It's not like I was going to buy it no matter what. And then I got this graded copy, and then I got another raw copy since I've been home on an Instagram deal.
Fishing.
And then there was the Joey Chestnut card, which I put in the video that was just priced too high.
You
I
had
went back
4
in-
people try to negotiate on that card.
I went-
Every day I went back and asked about that card.
Yep, so did I. Every day I went back.
Why he
and
wasn't lowering
inquired
his
about it.
price? The guy's like half the show's asking about this card.
I went on Sunday. He still wouldn't come off of 275.
It's comping at 150 to 160. I know they don't sell that much. That's why I offered him 200. And if he would have probably said 220, I probably would have just thrown the extra $20 up there. But he had it stickered at 300 the opening day. And I said, "Would you take 200 for that?" He said, "No, I can't do that." He said, "The lowest I can go is 270. I didn't even say, because I didn't want to, I'm not going to be that person, but I didn't want to say, well, the last two sold at 150 and 160.
I would.
I didn't bring comps up to him at all. So maybe he was not aware that he was overpriced, but it's not my job to price his cards for him. And because then a lot of times they want to get an attitude with you, well, screw your comp. I don't care what your comp is. So I just didn't even give him the comp. And then, went back every day to see if they were lower. And like I said, even if it would have come to 220, I'd have been overpaying by like $70 and still, but I still probably would have paid for it. So
Mine's the RDJ auto. That one's haunting me.
Which one?
Which one?
The Robert Downey Jr. auto.
Oh yeah.
What they have that stickered at?
8K.
Jeez.
It was more than I wanted to spend at the show anyways, but that's like, now I want that card.
My other one was a ticket stub from a 1984 Dolphins home game when Dan Marino broke the single season passing yards record. And so it was the ticket, and it was autographed, and he inscribed it with the yardage, and it was certified by PSA and stuff. And I don't know what the price of it on it because I didn't ask at the time. And then I couldn't relocate it by the end of the show. I couldn't even find the booth. It wasn't that it sold or that I couldn't find that ticket. I couldn't find the booth. I looked everywhere. So that one kind of got away a little bit. That's something that I probably won't find again. You know what I mean? Like I said, the Liv Morgan that I couldn't find to go back and buy. I came home and since I've gotten one on Instagram and found another one in the show graded. But that one, that would have probably been my Dan Marino PC item for a while. Because, I don't hold multiple items of my favorite players. I hold one or two that I really like for a while. And then when they get old, I'll replace it. That would have probably been my Marino PC item for a while.
I can't speak for the rest of the guys, but no Hawk Tua for me, Rolando, in Cleveland. My wife did not come on the trip. So it was just a guy's trip. No Hawk Tua.
Oh, no.
I can't speak for the rest of the guys, though. As Mike Ham's wife is standing there with a gun to his
she's already going to start looking at my videos. What are you talking about?
All right, friends. Speaking of Hawk Tua, it is 10:24, and I've got to get to bed myself. So I got to wrap here in the next couple of minutes. Any final words, fellas, before we adjourn? Ham, thanks for joining. We'll have to have you on more, Ham. We got to bring
you just let me know. I'm half time. I'm watching anyway. I can come in here and just yap. So I like talking, so it's a good thing for me. No, I mean, the National's huge, guys. At this point, I watch other people talk about it across different platforms. Where's a place big enough to really host the show? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, because to try and get everything that you want in one place, I don't think really exists. There's always going to be something lacking, whether it's parking, food, ease of walking out and going somewhere. There's always going to be something. How far from the airport? But how many things can you get right? I think Fanatics Fest in Orlando is going to be a very good idea to see how Orlando operates with something large like this, because you're talking 900 plus tables is what they're saying. So that's going to be a pretty damn big show. It's just going to be a good test to see, can the hobby withstand multiple big shows continually? Because it seems like now we have a big show almost at least every other month moving forward. And can we support that? I don't really know.
I just feel like there's always going to be logistics things. Like, if you go to a concert, Dustin, you're going to the Pearl Jam concert in Baltimore coming up. I went to a music festival in Atlanta back in May. There was lines for the bathrooms. There was lines for the food. There was traffic problems getting in and out of there. I mean, we look at it as a card show, but it's not a card show. It's an event, right? You got to look at it as an event, and not everything's going to be perfect. There are going to be the things that other big venues that run events have all the time that aren't even related to sports cards. And if you can accept it as that, then it doesn't necessarily, come out as, doesn't get as much negativity as it gets too much, in my opinion. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, because you're going to run into that everywhere. Chicago is good because everything's condensed and you're downtown. You don't get the traffic because everybody's parked at their hotels and they walk in. The food, you don't just have the venue food, you have the food that's also the restaurant surrounding, which was a good point Neo made earlier, because that kind of even completely slipped my mind. But how many times do we even actually eat in the show when we're in Chicago?
Not much. I had
one walk out. Yeah, so that was that was an oversight by me that Neo brought up. But so I wanted to ask this question, but I know Dustin's got to go and it might run us a couple minutes. I just wanted to say, and Ham was in Atlantic City, and I'm going to probably speak for the rest of the three of us out of the last four Nationals. Atlantic City was probably our least favorite. But if you had to rate the shows in order from the last, so we can probably throw AC right out the window. So even though Ham wasn't there, it doesn't matter. But if we had to rate Chicago, Cleveland, which of the 3 shows did you like the best?
I'll go first, and we'll just go around. I'm going to say the first Cleveland or the first Chicago National, because I met all you guys, and I don't know, it was just kind of I think just coming off of the pandemic, that was just a fun, like hadn't been out of the house, like no one had been out of the house. Everyone was social and happy. I don't know. I really like that. That national was a lot of fun. My wife came with me on that one too, so she got to see kind of all the what all the crazy was about. And that was good, I think, because she was like, damn, like there's actually a lot of, card collectors out there. And I think it was good for her to see, just considering, we put a lot of time into content and, so I think that was good. But just meeting everybody for the first time. But I will say though, I had a lot of fun at this last Cleveland show. That was kind of mixing it up. I feel like I didn't buy much at the show. It was more hanging out outside of the show. I probably had the most fun, I would say, probably in Cleveland this last time.
Do you think that's because you guys were all in a house together versus just going back to your hotel room and kind of like
maybe? Yeah, it could be. It was definitely more of a guy's trip. Yeah, this last time.
Yeah, I think 2021 National was the winner for the same reasons you said, Dustin. Like it was the first time a lot of us met each other in person, and a lot of other people that aren't even, on the live tonight. And it was just a different vibe. Like there was a lot of pent up energy to be social because none of us had been around people for basically 3 years or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely the 21 for that same instance that y'all just said. But I liked Chicago better just from the atmosphere. You can walk outside, go across the street to a steakhouse, walk around the corner a few blocks, and you're in this that field that has all the
restaurants and bars.
Yeah, around it. You know what I mean? Everything's walkable. Yeah, for the most part, everything's walkable, even if it's a 15-minute walk. I did like the fact how close Cleveland, the city itself, was from us at the National this time, and being able to just kind of get dropped off and wander around a little bit, even though it's supposedly not safe. I never felt unsafe at any given moment.
It's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, I was out at USF the other day moving my niece, and I'm like, I wouldn't stand outside here in the dark. So it's more dangerous here than I felt there, and that was during the day. So I definitely like Chicago's outside layout. The inside layout is a puzzle piece. It's like something trying to form Voltron, and it gets kinked up. It's just they got to do something about that.
Chicago, the actual show itself is the worst part. It's everything surrounding it that makes it the best. The venue is meh.
Yeah, for me, maybe it's recency bias, but I liked this Cleveland show. I had because it's different for me. I had a completely different approach. Usually, I approach the card show with a flipper's mentality. I'm taking stuff here. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to buy more stuff. I'm going to sell it. I am going to come home with a PC item, and that's usually my mentality. And it almost feels like a business trip, not a business trip along the lines where I'm going to do networking and things like you guys do. But this year, I just kind of went in with, man, whatever happens, just happens, man. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to shoot. I had the most fun doing content that I've ever had at National. I felt way more loose on camera and talking. I had the whole vibe about, trying to find a card that me and my grandfather would enjoy. So it had that significance to it. I didn't feel like I had a lot of inventory that I had to move or I was going to have to eat it. I got out into the town and I enjoyed that. Like I've never been out in the other towns and done stuff. It's always show trade night. And we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We went to a baseball game. It was just more of a complete trip for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I got some cards to make some money. I got some great PC cards. And I also did some awesome stuff outside of the venue. That's just memories that I will always have. That's not even related to the cards. So, and I know it's the most recent, so it's easy to say that, but, and I believe my content was probably the best. Now my content is different than it used to be because I do a lot of the B-roll stuff that keeps everybody on their toes. But I just felt like my videos coming out of this National were probably some of my better videos that I've ever done. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying that because I've actually put a little bit more effort into them and tried to make people laugh and had a lot of realism in it along with the cards. So I just like this one, you know. And coming into this one, again, like I said in my video, I thought I was losing steam. I joked with you guys the first day at the Airbnb, and it wasn't really a joke. It sounded like a joke, but I was saying it hoping that it wasn't coming to fruition, but I was like, guys, I'm quitting the hobby after this national. I'm quitting content after this national. I was saying it and you guys were laughing it, and then I was laughing back, and it just seemed like it. But I wouldn't have been saying it if I wasn't somewhat feeling it in the back of my head, in the back of my mind. And then before I left the Airbnb that day, I shot video in the Airbnb while I was waiting for the Uber. And like everything that I said was from the heart, and it was true, and it was like happening, and even cried a little bit like a big baby. And that was it just happened that way. So I liked this national. I took a lot more out of this national than money and cards. I took a lot more memories out of this one. So to me, that's why this one is at the top.
Plus we have Boss Chicken.
And we have Boss Chicken.
Yeah, good food again. Yeah, anytime we can get some good food out of nowhere, I'm in.
Touching story, Steve, but Boss Chicken. Really
Boss Chicken.
We had a prep.
All right, guys, I got to jump off. We will be back in 2 weeks. Neo might not make it because he is heading out to Fanatics Fest. In that case, we might just have Hambone sub in, and we'll go from there.
Awesome.
All right,
we got to get that draft in.
Yeah, we'll get the draft in too. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. All right, guys. See you.
Bye.
Thanks.